What are people buying for Christmas in a country where cannabis is legal? We're going to dive into a Canadian budtender survey just to find out how budtenders are influencing purchases around this time of year and just in general, really, as well as how their use impacts their recommendations, how budtenders can be influenced, and how they feel about the industry and their jobs, and some key takeaways. All of that coming up.
It's only entertainment.
Welcome back to the Talking Hedge. I'm Josh Kincaid, Capital Markets Analyst and host of your Cannabis Business Podcast. Canada's 2.0 rollout kind of had a unique step program from when they just issued flower and then in more products a year later. And so it's interesting now that they think there's so many SKUs, they don't really know how to make decisions. So they've got all of these new products, growing number of producers and retail products to try and select from. Some of these stores have 500 SKUs, and they're trying to figure out how to navigate this staggering array of cannabis items that stand out from competitors. Which is funny because in Washington State, it's one of the most competitive markets, maybe North America, because it's not vertically integrated. So the retailers don't care about limiting the products. So there'll be 2,000 products. You got to figure that out. So for Canada, I think it's just going to get more evolved. They're going to have to figure out how to organize that a little bit better, and customers are going to have to become more educated and basically try more stuff. So retailers are trying to say that producers are finding more room on crowded store shelves. So they're focusing on different strategies like white label opportunities, bulk formats, distinct cultivars. Some of the arguments was that, there's all these people growing the same strains and it's hard to differentiate. And so they're just going to keep things limited, but doesn't seem like at least not in this article, there's not a rhyme or reason for the industry as a whole in terms of how they've tried to figure out how to have the right number of products. So this particular store on average is just shy of 500 SKUs. And another guy says that he's carrying 140 SKUs in BC, and that everyone that they know is buying the same product, and they're looking for low price. They want some value to the deal. Customer preferences are evolving beyond the THC content, considering terpenes. Hopefully some of the budtenders are getting more educated, and that the market's been open. They're seeing some of these new products and able to recommend some of those. They've hopefully tried them. But as you'll see, we're going to talk about budtenders and their influence as well. Just in the short span of recreational markets and some medical markets, we've seen budtenders be incredibly influential. However, with technology and just advances in the regulated and eventually the legal market, we're going to see direct sales, e-commerce, online sales, all of those things kind of bypass the retailer. So for now, they're incredibly influential. 71% of purchases done in the store versus online. 53% come in not knowing what they want to buy. They're using the budtenders as kind of that missing link, or that knowledge piece that they can get. So 3/4 of the time, budtenders say consumers buy products recommended by them. So I always go in and I ask them, every 420, I'll go into 20 stores and ask the same thing. What is your favorite product? And then what is the number one product being sold? And so for the last 5 years, it'll be 6 years coming up, you get to see that a majority of them like flower. I don't think that they can afford concentrate maybe as much as they want, but it is interesting to see what they recommend based on their viewpoint of predominantly being flower. It was 90% of budtenders from my small survey. 90% it was in flower in 2018. That's when I first started taking notes. 2017, I didn't. And then it's all the way up to either 2/3 or 3/4. I'll have to take a look, but that's going to be coming up in a few months on 420. This report from Brightfield Group is showing that budtenders gravitate towards smaller craft brands. So they're recognizing that all brands aren't the same. Most are willing to go out of the way to find certain brands. Some find value in some companies, knowing that they treat employees well or are authentic or have quality. And they're going to be more likely to recommend those brands if they had access to samples and free products, training, basically free stuff. That's why the Lemon Haze parties and some of the Budtender Appreciation Awards, the Dope Magazine had the Budtender Appreciation parties, same thing with some other groups locally, probably in your area that you've seen. So we're taking a look at how budtenders learn about new products, going to a thing like Lemon Haze Budtender parties. Maybe they're going to get some products by doing hands-on stuff. There's some technology, in some cases behind, in the break rooms at some of these rec shops where they're using tablets or something of that nature. But this report boils down to four things: brand attributes, budtender, social media, and sampling. So a lot of the budtenders are going to use sampling to learn about products. If they've tried it, they get their hands on it, then they can really kind of talk about that product a lot more than anything else. But if they resonate with the social media, they can learn about the products, but also kind of get to feel like they know. It's traditional advertising, traditional media is you're getting an emotional connection to that, right? So I think Apple has done a really good job with that. And then with brand attributes, terpenes are becoming more important than just the highest THC at the lowest price point. So if budtenders can recommend that and get away from the sativa, indica recommendations, ultimately right now, budtenders are going to be that brand ambassador, kind of the gateway to products. So some of the shoppers ask about the highest THC point, which kind of annoys some of these budtenders that were asked. But I mean, that's kind of the novelty of the whole industry right now. They don't understand terpenes and that being the kind of the direction people want to go. And that THC is really just how fast you get there. But the relationship that budtenders have cultivated with some of their customers are the favorite things about their store, and difficult customers are one of the biggest pain points. I would think that terrible morale would also be an issue. Like the joint and beering has got some of the worst morale ever. And I think it's from management. They have some of the highest turnover too. I'm not saying it's correlated, but even the new people have kind of terrible morale. So I'm not sure what's going on with that store. A lot of budtenders are satisfied with the current store. Those that are having issues with management, maybe it's pay or hours. So there you go. Some of the brands, biggest issues with brands are low quality, inconsistent products, excessive packaging, and then regulations. Dosage sucks, right? You don't want something capped 100 milligrams or even in smaller dosage than that up in Canada. Canadian budtenders want to be in Portland so they can open the jar and show people different nugs. Can't do that in Washington or Canada. THC potency tops the most question. Best value recommended, benefits of CBD, strain types and sleep. Oh, terpenes is way down there. Oh, wow. Pain. I'm surprised pain is way down there too. Unfortunately, nothing about pesticides yet, but maybe that'll come in the future. Strong opinions from budtenders doesn't really indicate they don't recommend those brands. Could be for a number of factors. They don't, the price doesn't match the quality. They've got negative feedback from shoppers. They don't think the brand is being transparent about their THC content. All of those can be an issue. We mentioned that social media was a big place that budtenders kind of learn about things. I'm sure consumers do too. Instagram being big, Reddit, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn's way down there. It's kind of the business form of Instagram and Facebook. And then passion for cannabis is driving force for a lot of budtenders. They're altruistic coming into the industry. They want to know how to maybe get another job, and they just dive in that way. It's not a bad way. I'd probably look more for a hiring, agency, recruiting agency, rather than jumping into that. But maybe, you get a better idea if you don't know anything at all. Might be kind of quick to do it. But other people wanted a career change or they needed the job. So some of the results I found from last year is that 95% of bud tenders preferred flower and only 4.75% wanted concentrate. On the flip side, bud tenders that I surveyed on when I went to 20 stores on 420, 2/3 of the customers wanted flower, 10% wanted concentrate, 10% wanted pre-rolls, and then another 5% wanted vape, edibles, and topicals. So then some of the takeaways from the year before that, in 2020, it was only 2/3 of the customers wanted flower, followed by 16% wanted pre-rolls, 10% wanted beverages, 5% wanted a concentrate. Bud tenders back in 2020, 79% wanted flower, and then pre-rolls at 10, and then 5% for vape, flower pods, and rosin dabs. So, I mean, every year is kind of different. Some of the popular strains were wedding cake, and then other products that bud tenders wanted were vape carts, flower pods. Yeah. 23% of stores had no online menu ordering. So that's weird. I mean, kind of a tech hub here in Seattle now, and to not be able to order in 2020 was weird, especially during the pandemic when it was, super long lines and everything was closed. You weren't allowed to go into the store. That was pretty wild. Going back to 2019, 90% of the bud tenders' favorite product was flower. 15% of them liked wedding cake. Another 10% said that Thug Life was their favorite strain for flower. And then most recognized product purchased by customers was wedding cake, and then some pre-rolls. So 20% of the stores at that point said that Friday, 4/19 was busier than 4/20. 1 out of 5 people said that. So I always ask the guy checking IDs at the front, how many people have you seen? How many do you expect? Is it busy? Things like that. So it looks like one of the stores, there's 150 customers that visited before 9:30 in the morning, and another store didn't see 150 customers until 1:30 in the afternoon. The difference is because discounts. There's social media codes, online payment discounts, loyalty programs, lots of offerings on sale. We're seeing larger baskets and more customers as the main driver for growth. So the importance of creating those promotions and targeting those customers creates a lot more loyalty. We'll be doing 20 stores on 420 again. So if you find yourself in Seattle, hop on board the bus. 420 friendly. It's about 4 hours and 20 minutes to go to 20 stores. Typically what we see is that the 420 discounts or sales on the deals of the day end up being the everyday low price at a discount retailer 2 years later. So fun facts like that, of course, hoarding up along the way and testing some products out. So it should be a fun time.
With that, we're going to roll this one up. I'm Josh Kincaid. This is The Talking Hedge. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, or don't, and I'm out.
Don't forget to smash that like button on your way out and check out these other videos that we've got.